living in a studio, but it's so small. It's called studio because it has a kitchenette in it, and I have my own toilet, but it's just very small room with a kitchen and a toilet. I am paying here. There is a dignity of labor, two good labor law which regulates there is a minimum salary. Yeah. But a lot of Polish people warned me against going to Germany. If you, I mean, friends and colleagues like complain about racism here, it's nothing compared to Germany. It's worse. Blah blah blah. It's all.
What's your experience until now?
My name is Anshuman. I come from India and specifically from the northeast of India. I have been living abroad for the past 12 years. I work in the automotive industry, so I'm like, I have been close to Germany for all these years. Why not move there and just work in Germany? Yeah. So that's how I ended up here 1 year ago, more than 1 year, like 14, 15 months ago, and here I am. And a little more about what I do. So currently I'm a product manager in a company called, okay, let's not name the company. We make automotive software. So the product is software, and I manage that product, and I'm responsible for taking care of some big car makers who buy our software, our products. So that's pretty much about me.
Why you chose Munich?
I mean, it was not a very calculated decision. Uh, at I mean, I have changed many jobs in the past 2 years, so it might sound complicated, but uh, 2022, yeah, in the year 2022, for 1 year, from the beginning of the year until the beginning of the January of 2023, I was working for a company, Polish company, and they were working for a automotive supplier who had offices in Zilov and in Munich. So my counterpart was an Indian guy. He was based out of Munich, and he used to keep telling, "Hey, what are you doing here? Come to Munich, come to Munich." But that was one reason. He kept saying that. I'm like, okay, he's saying Munich, but I can try for different jobs in Germany. So I applied for many jobs, and you can call it coincidence. This one worked out, and it was in Munich.
How long it took you to obtain the job?
I applied for like 3, 4 jobs in Germany. Out of them, I got interviews for 3, but one of them was not something I applied for, but there was a headhunter. He found me. Yeah. Other 2 jobs did not work out, and this one was when those 2 did not work out. I was in India actually in November 2022, and I had the last round of interview with one of these companies uh, while I was in India. Yeah, and they gave me the result that, okay, you're a bit overqualified. Like, okay, what to do with this feedback? I feel good and bad at the same time. I mean, so I was frustrated. So I shortlisted. I went to LinkedIn. I went to my room, shortlisted some jobs, saved them. And when I came back to Poland, I applied for a few of them. And then one of those, after a month, so that was end of October or early November. So mid-December, my current boss called me. Yeah, so I saw your application. It doesn't necessarily or fully meet the profile, but we are a bit curious about you, so we want to get to know you. Yeah, so then yeah, he scheduled a couple of rounds of interviews with him, his boss, then with HR, and the whole process until getting offer actually took, I don't know. So his first call was in mid-December, then the holidays came, and then when I actually got the offer was probably uh, end of March or April, I don't remember. March, I think, mid-March, and signed the contract probably end of March. And then I started the visa process for coming here in April, and then I actually started working from 1st of June. So you see, more than half a year had passed since the first call from my supervisor. If you count from the day it was I sent out the application, it is probably more than 7 months, yeah, 8 months, something like that.
Do you regret the decision of coming here?
No, no. Initially, I was for a very long time, until like 5 to 6 months. I had like second thoughts coming. Now I think that was a good decision. I mean, 60 to 70%, I'm happy with the decision. one fine day something else might happen and this might again drop to 30 or 40, but again I feel like going back. I might feel like going back to Poland, but for now I'm happy. I clearly see some positives,
So you want to stay in Germany?
but I'm not leaving anytime soon unless there are some external pressures from some important people in my life. But other than that, I think I have many good reasons to live here. Yeah, so it's not just about comparing to Poland. Comparing to Poland, also I see some clear positives here, which are currently more than the negatives. Yeah, that's why I call it like 60 to 70% more pros than the cons.
Can you
And
give me some examples?
most primary one, not a lot of people would agree or want to talk about it, is racism in Poland is on the rise. But a lot of Polish people warned me against going to Germany. If you, I mean, friends and colleagues like complain about racism here, it's nothing compared to Germany. It's worse. Blah blah blah. It's all
What's your experience until now?
completely opposite. But I cannot speak for the rest of Germany. I haven't traveled around much. I traveled around a little bit in Bavaria. I have had mixed experiences. There were some incidents in Nuremberg, but I go to the mountains. Nothing happens ever. Munich, totally fine. I mean, people had been rude from time to time, but I cannot tell confidently that if it was because of my race or color or it was just a rude person or someone having a bad day. So, of course, there is discrimination I hear from people. Hasn't happened to me at work. My company is quite. I also hear this very often that uh, they say, okay, the official language of this company, work language of this company is English. But then, when they argue or if there's an escalation meeting, they just speak German and they forget about your presence. That never happened to me, uh, in in here in my company. Yeah, so
So you speak only English?
yeah, I mean, when we are at lunch, my boss was initially trying to tell everyone don't speak German when Anshuman is around. Yeah, now he had given up. Also, he's probably disappointed because I'm also not making any effort to learn German. So it's okay, but work related stuff, even if there's no other everyone else is German and there's no other foreigner in that meeting, they speak German. Sorry, they speak English. Yeah, so it's not just about respecting me. I think that's the way it is. Unless, I mean, it's just they are by themselves, they speak German probably. Sometimes I join a meeting, they're talking to themselves in German and they realize, okay, Anshuman joined. Oh, hey, Anshuman is here, let's switch to English. And they stick to that. Yeah.
How is the work culture here in Germany?
My company, I think, doesn't represent, because what I hear from other friends and colleagues, they face something very, traditional. People are, and I get this a lot, that people speak fluent English, but they do not want to. They don't speak on purpose because you are in Germany and you are supposed to speak German. That never happened to me at all. I mean, I have worked in automotive almost for the past 14, 15 years, since the year 2010. So yeah, okay, I had some gaps in between. So 13 years. Yeah. Um, so when I was in Singapore, I had German colleagues. When I was in India, I had German colleagues. Yeah. Okay, they were in Germany. Maybe they behave differently. But then I am here now. It's been more than a year. I mean, I don't feel it. But I'm sure, I mean, other people, everyone has different personal experiences. Yeah, no. Uh,
How is the work-life balance in Germany?
Here, it's not as toxic as in some Asian countries. I work in both India and Singapore. So, but I think it's good here. It's, yeah. I mean, if I would think of work-life balance, this is what it is. Because in Poland, I think it was more balanced than work. Yeah, there are some countries where it's too much. It's too relaxed. Yeah, you have to get things done. So here, it's proper balance, I think.
What about the financial aspect of life in Germany? How is it compared to India?
In India, it's very hard to compare. because it's very different. Certain things are way too cheaper. Alcohol is probably, if you go to a pub or a restaurant, uh, it's more expensive there. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, I think before we started recording, you can afford certain services in India, right? Because of a low income class who do not have full-time employment. So we have something called gig workers. Just like making a stand-up comedy or some freelance work is called gig. When you do not have a permanent employment relationship with your employer, that's also gig. So if you're delivering food, pizza, working for some courier company, or domestic help, cleaning, cooking, driving, yeah, everything is affordable there because if I work in IT, I make enough money and they make so little actually. That's why I can afford that. Here there is a dignity of labor, two, good labor law, which regulates. There is a minimum salary. Yeah, there's no such thing in India. Even if it exists, nobody is practicing that law because that law is probably not strict. Yeah. Uh, Here, even in Poland, I saw labor laws are very strict and very much pro employee than employer sometimes. It's so difficult to fire people even if they are not performing. That's a disadvantage for sometimes for business, but in India, it's the complete opposite. So that's why a lot of things are very affordable. We sometimes, as consumers, we don't realize that. Yeah. That we are indirectly participating in the exploitation. Um, yeah. So I don't know how much is 10,000 rupees. 100 euros. Yesterday I lost my Ray-Ban. It costed me 140 euros. Yeah, I did not lose it. I dropped it in a public toilet. I could not pick it up. Yeah, so people make less than that in a month, and they have to run a family. They have to raise children. Also send money back to their parents in villages or their hometowns. People are making like that. 100 euros, 150 euros.
How
Um,
much it cost here in Germany, in Munich,
mm.
for a single person per month?
Yeah, but it depends on the lifestyle, right? So I prefer privacy, so that's why I'm living in a studio, but it's so small. It's called studio because it has a kitchenette in it, and I have my own toilet, but it's just very small room with a kitchen and a toilet. I am paying 1,250, 1,250 a month, but it includes everything: internet, electricity, anything and everything, water, eating, and also there is bi-weekly cleaning, and it's kind of like a service apartment, so they change your sheets and linen, like a hotel. Yeah, they give you fresh towels. So it's not that bad, but it's far away. It's in East Manning, so I have to commute. So yeah.
How long it takes you to arrive to work?
So right now to get here, which is very close to the city center, so it took me 40-45 minutes. But that then depends, if I miss one S-Bahn, next one is after 20 minutes, so I am basically stuck. Yeah, so if I lose one connection, yeah, and then you have to synchronize that with the next
Mm.
connection. If I'm going to work S-Bahn, then U-Bahn, then another U-Bahn sometimes, so geographically it's not a big distance. I don't drive, so that's why I'm struggling so much. Otherwise, from my apartment to my work is 17 minutes probably, or 16 minutes. Yeah.
A car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you give me an amount of spendings which you have per month, around about?
I think I spend around 2,000, sometimes less, sometimes more. If I go on vacation, I am not counting that regular expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that is also because I spend a lot on eating and drinking out. If I limit that, cook more regularly, which has become now, I mean, in the previous flat I was staying, I did not have a kitchen. So I was not cooking for 3 months. So now I can see a clear difference between the expenses then and now. It's like I'm saving few hundred euros, like it's a significant amount. Yeah, I haven't counted it exactly how much, but then I could see more money staying in the account than it used to be a couple of months ago before moving to this money. Yeah. So yeah.
And around what range is your salary?
If you go on Glassdoor and say
Mm-hmm.
product manager salaries in Munich, you will get a range. and my salary is somewhere in the middle, or maybe on the upper middle, maybe closer. I mean, not very close to the upper limit, but yeah, somewhere like that.
So you are okay with the salary and the expenses, and do you still have some money
Um,
for savings?
yeah, this is some hint I can give. I save more than I spend, so yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah,
Do you want to invest it somewhere or not?
I have already started it. I mean, being Indian is a bit already late. People are more money conscious. They do it started only already in their mid 20s or late 20s. Yeah, uh, I'm in my late 30s, but last year I started, and yeah, so I don't know if that is an interesting, but yeah. So partly I invest in India, but that's a small amount because I'm not very sure about going back to India and getting money back. You know, even if it's growing very fast, getting it back here, if I need to use it, it's slightly complicated. So I invest more here using local apps in. And I think this app actually operates with the Munich Stock Exchange, yeah, not the one in the Frankfurt, but here. So, yeah.
Can you
So
give me a name of one of these apps?
So there are two very popular ones, Trade Republic and Scalable Capital. Both have English interfaces if you want to choose, and they're very good. But Scalable Capital is more user friendly, and it has choices of more ETFs if you want to invest in ETFs. And um, overall, yeah, it's also my experience now. But when I was choosing, I watched a lot of videos of expats who invest here. And actually, there was this Indian guy who lives in Romania, by the way, because of tax reasons, because he's self-employed and he makes a lot of money now by consulting, helping other people become rich. So he has a German wife and he moved to Romania, both of them. Yeah.
I think he has a Romanian wife actually, because
Really?
I know him. Yeah, it's
Okay.
called Bharat in
Yeah, exactly.
Germany.
So maybe I was mistaken because yeah, I just assumed initially I thought she is Romanian, but then yeah.
She's
And now it makes sense. Otherwise, why would you go to a country where you have no connection and you know? So I watch his videos and some other videos. Yeah, so I chose this app, and yeah, so that's the answer about the app. And then yeah, so you can invest in even in India. There are India ETFs, right, which are domiciled in Ireland or in Brussels or Munich. Yeah, maybe not Munich, could be Frankfurt, but yeah. So Deutsche Bank also runs their own on I don't know how to call it, this asset management business, just like BlackRock and Vanguard in the US. So here we have BlackRock's Europe version, then Deutsche Bank's Europe version, and so on. So all of these are available in these apps. Yeah.
What about the social part of your life? How is it here in Germany?
I'm not the best person to answer that because I'm more of like stay home, watch Netflix, watch YouTube kind of person. Yeah, or read. Uh, I hear this a lot that it's very difficult to make friends in Germany in general, and especially in Bavaria. Um, but making acquaintances has always been easier for me. But then, because I talk a lot, you know, but making deeper connection is what I want, and that has always been difficult. So I don't see a big difference between Singapore, some cities in Poland I lived in, and here. Yeah. um, Maybe if I, because I don't socialize much, I cannot comment, because if I start socializing more frequently, maybe I will see the difference. Otherwise it's just like any other big city. Yeah. In the last few years in Singapore, I used to be very frequent in couchsurfing events. I don't know if you've heard of
Mhm.
couchsurfing. Yeah. I was very regular there. So I ended up making 2 3 friends eventually, but I used to know a lot of people. Yeah. Here I don't socialize at all because I don't know, with age, I mean, you develop other interests, and sometimes you don't feel like spending so much effort if you know that eventually you will not make deeper connections anyway. So what's the point in meeting new people and answering the same questions again and again? Where you are from, what do you do? Yeah, all of these things. Yeah. And why you came to Germany, all this. I mean for this video it's a different story, but different people, same question, and you answer, and same outcome basically. You don't meet them again, or you meet them again but you don't really become friends. Yeah. So I don't know, but locals, I think, yeah, they are very reserved, but it was also the same in Poland. But I see a small difference. Some Polish people were curious. I say this, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not a social observer, or I did not study sociology, but wherever you have more racism, that's also because sometimes it's very hard to distinguish between xenophobia and racism, right? So um, for me it doesn't matter, because if I'm feeling bad, if somebody spat on my face, it happened in Singapore actually. A Singaporean local Chinese lady spat on my face. So I don't care if Singaporeans, people always argue with me, Singapore is not racist, it's xenophobic. You see, a significant portion of their locals are also Indian, ethnically Indian.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work that way. I see things, yeah, but maybe it is xenophobia. I don't care about the definitions. If it feels bad, I only remember the traumatizing experience, right? So what is going inside their head? Do they think, is it a classist racism? Is it because I'm from immigrant class, or is it because will they treat an Indian, Singaporean Indian with a Singaporean passport, second, third generation differently? I don't care. Yeah. So it's the same thing, but in Poland, it was different. People were more curious. When I went there, there are not many people of color, so they were very curious. Some Even now, I think I don't know. I haven't been there for the last 1.5 years, but people stare a lot. Sometimes you don't know if it is they're interested in you romantically, or they're just curious, or they just hate you. They don't want you there. It could be any of these. But when it's there, that's why I think these people are not used to immigration, and that's why I felt more racism towards the last few years. But that's also, other extreme is also possible. Just because people are curious, they want to be friends with you. They want to go back to the village and tell that, hey, I have a Hindu friend, you know you know and he made curry for me. Sorry. So yeah. Or he is good with computers, whatever. So but there is this advantage here. They have seen people of color for generations now. I mean, or not generations, maybe for decades at least. So that's also an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. They will not bother me, they will not come to me, sit next to me. I'm just having my private time, reading a book in a bench, sit next to me and like, where are you from, why are you here? That might happen in Poland. uh, Here it will never happen. It's positive. But negative, I think it's just because of curiosity, nobody will be my friend. So it's not that easy. I have to make a significant amount of effort to make friends. Most of the time, I go to some expat events where locals do not come. In Poland, even locals want to meet some expats. They might have their preferences. Sometimes they may not want to meet an Indian guy, maybe a Swedish guy, but here expat events is full of only expats, sometimes who is half German or who came back to Germany after ages, after living in New Zealand or something, or helping some kids in Africa. So so these people join. So it's mostly expats. So I cannot comment on how difficult it is to make friends with Germans. And the reason I do not have German friends is probably it's just I'm going only to expat events, and that too like once in 4 months. So I go and maybe get very bored or disappointed, and then I just okay, I have better things to do alone. So yeah. So I'm not the best person to comment on social life here. Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to come here? Should they come here or?
Depends on what you're looking for, right? If you uh, want to make good money, then you have to see where you are right now, what is your expense to savings ratio wherever you are, whether in another European country, or in India or Turkey, wherever you are. uh, how much you will save if money is the only goal. Yeah. Then what else is important for you? If social life is really important for you, and if you do not speak fluent English, your English is good enough just to perform work, and you don't speak any German yet, or your German is also in a not so good level, then maybe you will struggle a lot.
Thank you so much for everything.